Joining me right now is the Washington Times columnist and Fox News contributor Charles Hurt. Charles, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Your expectations of this meeting today?
Well, for starters, Benjamin Netanyahu could not have, it's not a big difference to expect him to have a better relationship than he did with Barack Obama. That was a terrible relationship. And so anything is an improvement over that with a new president. But in particular with Donald Trump, just that clip you played right there, Maria. I mean, have you ever heard a president, a politician, speak so forcefully like that? And I think that one of the reasons that it was so refreshing for people is that, we've been dealing with this issue for decades and decades and decades, and nobody has shaken anything loose. Nothing has changed. It's intractable. And I think that Donald Trump very much laid down a marker that says, look, I don't believe the Palestinians have been operating in good faith. And but now you have to operate in good faith if you want to get something done. And I think that that's maybe it doesn't solve it. It's a Gordian knot that is probably impossible, maybe impossible to solve. But at least it's something different. And I think that that's worth something right there.
Hey, Charles, it's Robert. Obviously, we all want peace in the Middle East. I've been to Israel multiple times, and I'm just confused by what's going on the last few weeks. And in one respect, the president has really kind of hit Netanyahu on increasing settlements. Yeah. And then, obviously, in the last 24 hours, he talked about maybe there doesn't need to be a two-state solution. Actually, that wasn't Trump. It came out of the White House. Whereas Netanyahu has been the proponent in Israel for a two-state solution, as has all the last presidents of, the last multiple decades. It wasn't Obama versus Bush or Republican versus Democrat. So how do you square that circle of kind of hitting him on new settlements and then saying, maybe there won't be a two-state solution? How do you see it?
Hey, I would love to say that there's a method to all the madness that goes on. And throughout the campaign with Donald Trump, we saw that there often was a method to the madness. However crazy it got, there was there was a strategic thinking behind it. But I sort of suspect that in this case, it might be, they're having problems with message out of the White House right now, obviously. And by the way, we're 3 weeks down, 205 to go. So that's I guess an accomplishment of sorts. But I think that a lot of it, I do think that it probably is a lot of stepping on their own message right now. But I don't. But the advantage to that is that Donald Trump's opponents never know. He's like a whirling dervish. They never know what's the next punch that he's going to land. And he uses that to his advantage. He thrives in this chaos.
Because, Charles, what was interesting is during the confirmations of Secretary of State, he was very clear that he is supportive of a two-state solution.
Yeah.
And so they had dinner last night, and then, out of the White House, I don't want to get into leaks, but out of the White House there was this leak of now not two-state solution. So, I think it's going to be very interesting when we see them today come out with a statement that maybe, brings us all together.
Well, and I think Charles, it's Steve here. Don't you think that actually the key point here is something that Trump said, I think, in the campaign, and I remember him pictured on the jet, and he's saying, wouldn't it be great to do Middle East peace? That will be the greatest deal ever. And I think that's actually the heart of this, which is that he sees it as the ultimate deal. Absolutely. And that all of this is part of his general approach to negotiation, which is to say one thing, another, you never really know until you get in the room. It's all about the relationships. I just think that we're possibly treating it the wrong way, as if there's some kind of, he's using the same kind of diplomatic approach that we've seen tried for all these decades and not got anywhere. He's going to do something completely different.
And of course, Jared Kushner, senior advisor to the president and the president's son-in-law, expected to play an important role here in forging that better relationship.
Well, and people in Washington, people at the State Department are vested in this notion that only diplomats can come up with the solutions for these things. It's very complicated. You have to have a PhD to understand any of this stuff. Right. And Donald Trump is very much not like that, and it's why he appealed to a lot of people. He's like, nah, we can figure it out. I'll put my son-in-law in there. He can figure it out. He's a smart guy. And the truth is, if he does manage to come up with a solution, he could write a sequel to Art of the Deal.
Yeah, but to be clear, and I've spoken with people on the other side, they see this as a coalition of a group, and they see Jared Kushner as part of that group. I know that the president has spoken very highly, obviously, of his son-in-law, that he will be, one of the one of the leaders here in terms of this effort, but it's a group, Dagan. It's not just one person trying to do this.
And I want to point out that part of being a better friend to Israel is being tough with Iran, which we've already seen the Trump administration act on that with additional sanctions because of those missile launches. That is a critical component to this because, again, those missiles that Russia has been launching are painted on the side, death to Israel, death to America, in Farsi, Hebrew, and in English.
Yeah, for sure. The Iran deal obviously is one of the key conversation points that you're expecting today, right, Charles?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that history will show that that Iran deal will go down as one of the biggest mistakes that we ever made. And maybe we turn it around, maybe we don't. But that will turn out to be be proven an absolute disaster. One other thing, though, I think that is important to keep in mind is that one of the things I think gives a lot of people assurance about Donald Trump in a situation, obviously he doesn't really, this is not his expertise, is some of the people that he surrounded himself by. Rex Tillerson, Jim Mattis, they are some of the most strategic, outside of the box thinking sort of people, and that's I think what probably is needed.
Yeah, for sure. Charles, thank you.